about poverty and being in survival mode is such a reputation-based, a reputation-heavy asset. You know, all your stock is in reputation. You don't have stock in no properties or no businesses or no career. All your stock is in reputation.
Right.
Like where we from, bro, we overvalue reputation. Like, oh my God, it's our most prized possession.
We'll risk our life for it over and over.
Give it. Feel me?
Quit.
Like,
lie about it and everything.
Because really, I always make this reference. It's like New Jack City, bro. When the nigga, like when they first started, they was just the Cash Money Brothers, and they was like, yeah, we all we got. That was their motto. We all we got. They was in a Jeep. They was broke together. They had a little couple things, and it was cool. We all we got. And then Nino got rich. Then Nino got the Douglas apartments. Then Nino got some bras. Then Nino got a team. Now Nino got all this power in the city. He got killers on the side. Guess what? The main nigga is expendable.
Yeah.
We all we got went from being we all we got to I'm all I need. Again, so it's funny how it started a certain way, right? That representation, and then as opportunity presents itself, your reputation becomes less important to the point where by the end of the movie, the nigga was telling on people.
Right. And that's it.
He was like, fuck my reputation, I got real coin.
With pride.
I got real people on deck, I got real opportunities, you feel me? Like, yeah, I told, feel me? Like, so again, it's one of them
and
things
we
where
seeing that in the culture, like on TV, you know what I'm saying?
Everything I'm talking about.
Yeah, like you can go anywhere on the internet right now, and that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that just shows you how crazy it has gotten. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you've had a special view on that from both sides. You saw it from the street level. You've seen it from an industry level. You know, as far as the gangbanging thing goes, because I know you said you've kind of lived your life mostly off the porch. But anyway, we know that when you get to a certain age, you know, some of us younger than others, you know what I'm saying? But I would say 11, 12, 13, 14, them that's the crucial ages, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Was it a difference? Did you notice a difference when you started being more intertwined with the putting the flag up, where it became about, you know, like you said, it's segregated. You know what I mean? Was there a point in your life that you noticed a change when you started, you know, what did gangbanging mean to you, you know what I'm saying, during that period?
I mean, I think it's always meant the same thing.
Yeah.
I never allowed it to run me. The plane never been on autopilot.
Right.
I've been flying this motherfucker manual the whole time.
Yeah, which you were saying earlier, that's real.
Outside of D-boy, you feel me, I'm pretty confident in decisions I made then. So I always correct people when they say I'm an ex-ganger. I'm from 7th Street forever. This is permanent. I love my homeboys. I grew up with them. We starved together. We came up together. We made good together. We did whatever we had to. And my mentality about them hasn't changed. Maybe what changed is now I might not knock you off if you do something to them, but now I got a couple dollars, so it ain't nothing to get a nigga of colors to kind of get some act right. So be careful with who you doing something to. I feel like nobody could ever make me feel bad about that, about being where I'm from. The pride I feel in loving my friends, loving my older homeboys, you know, for pushing me to become, you know, a man, tougher. You know what I mean? Sure, some of them not necessarily the most emotionally intelligent, you know what I mean, and will, you know, they operate from their states. Yeah. But I was always intelligent enough to decipher the codes and the messages. And for the most part, 98 out of 100 messages were to make me a better human being and to make me prepare for this world that's out here.
You hear about gangs in the mass media, it's usually negative, right? Coming from y'all perspective, gangbanging from where it started to where it is now, right? Because obviously with anything in life, not just with gangs, it's a good and a bad. It's a positive, it's a negative, right? Where do you see it going right now? Like, is there a way to harness that positivity to where it can be largely known as a positive thing? You know what I'm saying? Because I think when it first started, it had more of that, you know, even though the ones that's really from LA, we know the truth. Sure. But I'm saying the way it's marketed is like, okay, well, it started on
place of Panther.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. That's the basic media play about that. But what I'm saying is now, you always hear about, okay, well, you know, gangs are destroying the community. Gangs is destroying, you know, the black youth, all these different things. Is there a way to take those negative things and harness them into a positive thing towards the future? Like, where do you see it going? Is it possible to do these things?
Well, I think it's a lot of people that's, you know, known as gang members or a part of gangs that's doing a lot of positive things. I don't think it'll ever be the most known thing though.
Yeah.
I think the negativity is just that polarizing to the point where with media involved and the internet and a lot of the youngsters that's a part of it, that's representing it and not really knowing, you know what I'm saying, and don't even care to know because there's nobody around to really tell them. Yeah. It's more like individual based. Like some gonna get it and some gonna put it out there in a positive light, and some niggas is like, fuck it, I'm with the bullshit and I'ma stay there. And the media gonna always, you know, fuck with that simply because it keep they shit popping. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it'll ever be known as a positive thing on a worldwide level, but it's
within us. You think it's possible?
Yeah, for sure, because we all know it's a lot of positive people. We done been niggas didn't, like he was just saying, like it's niggas in the hood that it saved you from getting your ass beat or was willing to look out for you if something happened or whatever the case may be. But with this internet, man, and these youngsters, and you know, like we basically co-parenting with the internet.
Right.
You feel me?
I've never heard somebody say it like that.
It's really, it's
all time level.
It's dangerous out here.
Outside is inside your house. Remember back in the day, all our parents had to do was keep us from going outside. Yeah. Now they bringing them outside inside the house on the phone.
Niggas is yelling outside in the house.
Yeah, in the house. Hashtag outside, but like they inside.
In the house.
But to answer that point, to answer that point, because it's crazy from my perspective, right? Is again, to talk about gangbanging in our community is like discussing an ingrown toenail when you got bullet wounds.
Yeah, right.
Like you got shot in your abdomen with an AK-47 and shot in your shoulder with a Tech 9. Feel me? Your abdomen, right, is poverty, right? And your shoulder is systemic oppression. And we talking about the ingrown toenail growing your toe as gangbanging.
Right.
Feel me? You bleeding out to death because you so fucking poor and you so, you know, oppressed. You can't even have opportunities anywhere close to where you live. The opportunities are nowhere close.
Right.
They're so far out of view to somebody who has limited vision, you know, on purpose. You know,
so you would say it's more. So you would say, as big as it of an impact it is on us, would you say it's more of a symptom of the actual?
100%, man. It's too many cities that don't have gangs that have violence of this level. That don't have gangs, so many ghettos and poor places. Before Detroit had, you know, Crips and Bloods, they still had violence in poor places, and every place is poor, especially in the center of a capitalist society. And again, you know, we can all, it's a ton of black elite that I hear all the time say, oh man, well, you know, these people is like, look asshole, if there's an opportunity, everybody would choose against gangbanging. Right. There's not a person breathing air that would choose to hang over here and be broke and have nothing. Feel me? If they believe, if the vision was put, you know, if what they needed to see was put right in front of them. If there was a Ford factory right here where you could go make $8,000 a month or $7,000 a month, everybody's gonna choose that. Nobody's gonna choose to be broke and sitting around this motherfucker trying to build a reputation.
Choosing to be broke when it's $7K a month down the street.
No, you just not.
And he know I can go get it. Like that's there for you.
So to address, you feel me, the ingrown toenail, feel me, because you can stub your toe because you barely can walk because you got shot in your stomach and your shoulder, which is gangbanging. Feel me, your ingrown toenail is a joke. I laugh when people do it. It's like, oh man, the black community gangs are hurting, you know, hip hop, the rap music. But what's inspiring the rap music? Are they lying about this community? Is these things not going on? Like, your focus shouldn't be on the person reporting and literally this is all they have, so they appreciate their experiences. You should be mad at the community that's inspiring the rap. You should be so frustrated at, you know, the circumstances and figuring out a way to overcome the circumstances to not, you know, I can see nobody from Beverly Hills is rapping like this.
Yeah.
Feel me? Nobody from, feel me, this just ain't real. So
not yet.
It's crazy to me that, you know, they want to hang the shit on gangbanging or the rap music, and it's like, well, why is this shit happening? You know what I mean? Like, I only tripped and stuff and got this ingrown toenail or stubbed my toe and fucked it up because I'm shot and I barely could walk.
Right.
Feel me? You give somebody opportunity You know what I mean? You give somebody, you get out of their way, you stop pressing them to be a loser. You feel me? You allow them to earn a livable wage and to be able to provide for their family and not be the shame of their household. Feel me? This is simple. But if you don't give it to them, feel me? Don't cry about the time this nigga tripping all over the place. You know what I mean? There's blood on the floor, he can stuff his toe. That's gangbang. I don't really care to hear that shit. I laugh at that.
Yeah, so basically, from what y'all saying, if you address these other problems, the poverty, the self-worth, you know, the oppression, that's a big part of, you know, of this whole situation. All those things, then naturally, the gang culture will be more directed into poverty.
It just won't possibly be.
I don't think it's ever going to be. I think you can do it individually. Like it's like if we on a mission, it's certain people we can save, and then it's like we inspire. Okay, we got some cracking over here, but everybody ain't going, bro.
It just especially when you think about like because it gets deep with some of these beefs that be going on.
But the only reason that is, and I'm gonna tell you why it's past that, is because we watch people. See, we get all front for the people that's listening, but we all know people that's worst enemies and some of the most powerful players get along.
Yeah.
They've been friends since kids. Nobody fucking cares.
Since the beginning.
Feel me? So again, there's some kind of confusion that we've established people, and it's just not true.
Yeah.
And the reality is, for people to be extremely wealthy, somebody gotta be extremely poor. So that's why it's hard to change.
Yeah.
Feel me? It's tough to change because people want too much. Yeah. So that means somebody's gonna not have enough. That's why. As simple as that. If Jeff Bezos wanted to pay those people correctly, then they can change their life. But what's more important to Cuz is going to space for no reason or trying to plan his escape. Who knows? But if he was paying them people fair, feel me, instead of trying to waste money to go to space, feel me,
and the people might, us, we might not be so angry. You know what I'm saying, all the time, because that's what happens. Like a lot of times we're angry. Like I said, we're angry at a lot of other traumatic things going on in our lives, or we're depressed about it, or sad, whatever it is. And that anger comes, and we get took out on that person that's just like us, that's going through exactly.
Think about the schools we go to school at. Like it's a bunch of poor people making fun of other poor people.
Man,
we used to talk about your shoes.
We used to be afraid to say we went to the swap meet and went shopping. Now nigga proud to say it. We was all poor. My mom ain't on the county, nigga. Yes, she is.
I see her there.
We would make fun of that person. We would make fun of that person. We would make fun of that person like we don't live next door to them.
Right.
We did.
Like because your mom got a job where she paying rent and his mom is on county, but y'all live next door to each other. You'll make fun because they got food stamps buying the same food your mama bought. Both of y'all got the same shit in your house. You might got a pair of Jordans, you got a pair of Chucks.
It's just wherever can make us feel good about ourselves, and unfortunately we take the expense
of making other people feel bad. But that's part of poverty culture. I mean, that's poor culture. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole thing. So again, to talk about gangbanging is a joke to me. I don't even listen to people who do it.
A lot of things to address, basically.
It's the main thing to address.
And that's a good segue to my next point. Because we've dealt in this industry for a little while. It doesn't seem like it's in the industry's best interest to help us with these problems. It seems like it makes them more money when we're going through the bullshit. We can rap about the bullshit, and they can make money off the people that don't really live this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The people that are listening, that are, they romanticize it, basically, in the industry. And I've always looked at, when people have always asked, like, man, the industry needs to do this and that. And when you look at the bottom line, because that's what this business is all about. It's the bottom line, which is like what we was talking about earlier, right? It's all about the bottom line. So it's just like, what interest do they have in really helping us? So that brings me to my next question is, a lot of artists lately, especially recently, have been talking about how they feel like the labels that are signing these artists have a responsibility to promote some type of mental health awareness or promote them getting some type of therapeutic assistance with their own lives. They said that they don't really do that. You get what I'm saying? And they just kind of leave the artists to their own devices. A lot of these artists, think about how we was coming in this game. We was right off the block. We was thirsting for something that was legal, that we could get out of this, right? Now you having, you've done it all when it comes to the labels. I've seen you get the $1 million contracts. I've seen you turn down contracts from some very notable people. We don't gotta get into who and what, where, but very notable people in this game. So having that perspective, Do you feel the labels have a responsibility for all the money that they're making off the pain and trauma of these kids? Do you feel that they have a responsibility to help them with mental health awareness or help them get therapy, things like that?
I mean, it's such a tricky question.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's up to us to do that, right? But do you feel that they bear responsibility?
I think it would be honorable and a responsible thing for them to do. But is it their responsibility? I don't think they're in it for that. I think it's more lucrative for them to not be responsible for that.
Well.
Two things. You give it something, man. You ain't never heard
No,
back,
man,
bro.
it's
Come on.
tough because I'm thinking about it, right? Obviously, it's not their responsibility.
Yeah.
Mine is the economics, right? Is it really their fault, or do we like to buy trauma?
That's what I was saying before I asked you that.
I mean, is it really?
Yeah,
Again, this is such a tough position because it's like going to buy healthy food for us. It's like,
how many of us really go do that?
you know what I mean? Like, do you want your greens not soaked in vinegar?
And what gets all the likes on social media? The negative stuff or the positive stuff?
Well, mine is negative or positive, right? It's adversity is always polarizing.
Yeah, that's
Um,
real.
It's tough. I mean, I don't think Hollywood does the same thing. I don't think Hollywood does a good job of it. Look what happened to Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, that's a whole
You know what I'm
list.
saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
I don't think Chevrolet does a good job. I don't think people in general do a good job. But again, it's one of those situations where.
But dealing with our demographic, especially, where we've been especially traumatized.
Sure. You know you did this shit.
Yeah. You know.
I would love for it to happen. I would love for them to take a vested interest in the artists that are generating great revenue for them.
Because it seems like, you know, what's been going on, you know what I'm saying, is you get an artist, the artist has come from a crazy life. You know, they're still going through that crazy life as they're rapping because they can't let go of what they can't let go of how they've been, you know, it's part of their cloth. And so all of this is captivating to this audience that's, like you said, buying this stuff, including us. We're buying this music, listening to the music. You know, when I used to go on missions, oh shit, I want to listen to this shit that's gonna put me in the mood to go on a mission. You know what I'm saying? So we see these people and they meet the end that a lot of us meet, living this life. They just famous. So what happens is they make all this money off them. Now this person's dead. Either they OD, or they go to jail, or they just die violently, right? So what happens? They die. They sell a bunch of more records now because they did, and they just get the next traumatized person and bring them in.
I mean, obviously, right? The act of being sure. I would love for the labels to be humane. I would love for the execs and the people monetizing that said trauma to actually do the verb of being a human being. Be very mindful of the next person, humane, be empathetic, and try to help them fix their situations. But I genuinely think that does happen. I'm not going to say it's not concern. There is concern. I mean, there is concern, but what happens is some people, like, I think the audience falls in love with the trauma. And I think hence where artists feel pressure to, you know, kind of start to traumatize themselves to matter.
To put themselves
to have self-worth, to have value to the audience.
Right. So you got, so in essence, what you're explaining, in case people watching might not understand it, they may come into this game not even as crazy as they was during the time that they famous.
It's certain artists,
so they go backwards basically and actually become criminals.
It's certain artists, right? It's certain artists who come into this game as dope fiends, and their music has another level of depth and soul attached to it that's super thick, and you can feel it. Feel me? And you start to realize that person is on drugs, but you're so in love with the contribution they're giving to your life with the music and the entertainment, right? And then something can happen. That person can go to jail, right? And they clean up, and they come home and they making music, and you like,
hey, man, that's right.
something is missing.
So he don't sound
and you find yourself.
We need to go pick that cup back up. We need to go put that. You know, I'm gonna keep it 100. People were saying that to me about Eminem.
Sure.
Wayne.
Heard that.
You know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, that we can name.
We loved it. Me and Head used to have these expressions. Me and Head used to have. Everybody loves to see a plane crash.
Yeah.
I mean, you know somebody gonna die, but you just watch that whole fall out the air like.
Look at this shit.
Damn,
that's a big
you can't take your eye off a plane crash, and so many artists have been in that situation where their plane crashing, and you can see the plane start to go down. You like, oh, this motherfucker finna go down, and you don't prepare yourself. You don't get to the other end to try to rescue somebody if they might be alive. You just get your popcorn and you just watching it go down. It's entertaining, but you know, again, like I said, on the way here, bro, I had one of my coldest epiphanies. It's a confusion, right? That people, I don't truly believe, and this is gonna sound fucked up, and niggas gonna always talk shit, but this is something I thought.
Yeah.
I don't think there could be racism with ignorance. I like to, and even though this goes against, well, it doesn't go against, it's not in the definition. I think racism is a very educated thing. You know, in its truest forms, it's very educated and knowledgeable. You know what I mean? And provable, right? I think we tend to associate bigotry based on race as racism, right? Versus think somebody inferior or superior. But what I really think more than racism exists is human beings are becoming more and more selfish every day. And what's happening is you know, being selfish goes against the act of being a human being, being humane. So I think people are so worried about themselves that they just don't care about other people at all. And I think that's the problem. I think, you know, if people can't, you know, I even look at it like with certain audiences, it's a confusion. Like I said something about Lil Nas X, and people feel like I can't champion him because he's a homosexual because I don't live that lifestyle. And I'm telling them like, bro, like I'm not that intellectually lazy or ridiculous. Like, and I noticed the average human being, like marketing for people is like, oh, let me tap in with you. I'm gonna be a part, I'm gonna connect you to me. Feel me? I'm gonna represent you, you're gonna be a part of me versus me where I can, you know, you don't have to have any of my same views, but if I see you out there being a great man, man, I can respect it and be a fan. It has nothing to do with me. Right. Elton John's lifestyle has nothing to do with me. He's a fantastic musician, and I can enjoy every one of his records.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that's normal for human beings. I think they're trapped into a place of being selfish. And so when a white man sees a black man, he can't see himself in a brother. So that's the confusion. The confusion is, and for years and years and years, now it creates this kind of ridiculous sense of I'm better than you, I'm more entitled, I deserve more than you, you are beneath me because you work, right? But the reality is, if they can't see themselves in a person, I think that's where human beings tend to come up short. And it's a way we market, it's trash, I think it's crass, I think it's lazy, I think it's silly. Feel me? Like, I don't have to see myself as somebody to enjoy who they are or to love or care about that person existing. That's the confusion. The confusion is how selfish human beings are getting more and more every day. Selfish, more selfish, more selfish. Yeah. Think about it right now. We create human beings to be more selfish. Social media creates people being selfish. Literally, everybody's a star. Yeah, everybody wants content to promote themselves. Absolutely. It's all about self.
Yeah.
Feel me? Now you can't even be a rap star.
The real fan kind of disappeared.
Yeah, because now that person is trying to build an audience. And I was telling artists, I told him and his brother, I said, you have to be mindful of creating content for people to build their own audiences. Right. They want talking points so they can talk to their audience with your content.
Yeah.
And that's the most powerful person, the person who created content for everybody.
Right.
Okay?
You gotta give it. You
gotta give them something that matters to their audience to where they can talk about it. If you talk about just your shit, they don't want to share that. I'm a star myself.
Yeah, I think it definitely plays into what you're saying, especially when it comes to like the question I had about the labels. They're not really seeing beyond themselves in that check that they get.
And I genuinely think there are people within those systems that try.
Yeah, no, I've seen some. I've seen. We both seen.
Yeah, but I agree they're not as vested.
Yeah,
in the overall betterment of somebody.
When it comes to like the racial aspect of it that you addressed, I feel like because a lot of people don't understand the difference between a racist and a bigot. Now, if you got feelings about somebody's race, if you think that any of us are lower because of our DNA, that's your opinion, bro. That's cool. That's fine. You can have your opinion. This is the thing though. When it starts getting crazy, you see, racism is when you're actively oppressing somebody. Okay? When you call somebody a racist, that means they're actively oppressing you. You know what I'm saying? That's different from somebody.
That's what we like to end up.
That's the difference.
Being prejudiced.
Just being prejudiced and having a view. Because if you've been locked up, we got to deal with that all the time, and still function. It's like, okay, this white person don't like me because of this. This brown person don't like me because of this. Shoot, this other black man don't like me because of this.
So that's again, it still roots itself in just this level of selfishness, and it's this lazy kind of way of seeing human beings. Like, well, if this person looks like me, we have the same struggle. It's like, yeah, no.
They do it all the time. I did it. Why you couldn't do it?
As like, and that's the problem.
I've talked to people like
it don't work from just the bottom. It also works from the top. A lot of black people I follow, I feel like they are so disconnected with the circumstances going on with people in survival mode. Oh, you busy listening to that music, feel me, blah, 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 or you not saving enough money. Niggas is in debt every month, and this nigga talk about saving money.
Real debt.
Feel me? So, again, it's one of those things where, like I said, I think people want to, but I think their own self-serving interest overpowers their care for other human beings. Their own self-serving interest. Yeah. If your own self-serving interest ain't to help another man, feel me, or help somebody else or be empathetic to their needs, that's actually not being a human being. So again, we just going through this weird phase of people opting out of being a human being. The act of being a human being. They're like, you know what? I'm just focused on my paper. I'm just focused on what I got going on. Feel me? That way it's simpler. Feel me? I'm take care of my family. Like you hear black people spreading the term generational wealth, not knowing slavery was probably one of the earliest things that created generational wealth. And nothing ever happens good at the expense of other human beings trying to create generational wealth.
Goddamn hashtag.
For real.
And again, some of these
memes
words,
is the new Bible.
I mean, I think that how you answered the last question about the gang culture, it's kind of the same for this question. It's a bigger conversation that needs to happen. And I will say this, to any label exec that could be watching this, I will say this. This is my view on it, because I feel how you feel about it, but this is my view on people that come from where we come from, that come from our culture. You feel me? Like me personally, I feel like I had a responsibility. I'm not really for this kind of shit. Just keep it on 100. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because I felt like there's not too many people that have done what I've done as far as getting the degrees and doing all that type shit.
From the back.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? And still come from the street. So I felt like it was a duty of mine to spread this information, to spread this knowledge. I felt like I had an added responsibility because I come from this shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel about any executive that's sitting in these offices that come from where we come from. But I feel like they do have a little added responsibility.
But think about it, they getting rid of those people.
Yeah.
Those people are not there no more. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Feel me? Again,
right.
We also allowing them and we allowing people not of the culture to colonize the culture. Yeah. So what's happening is you got a grip of people that's not from this being responsible and not being able to communicate with somebody from this versus us and our ability to be able to.
Because it's like you said, it's the ignorance of it. Like the people that's not from our culture, I understand what you're saying about they're not aware. Like they're not aware. They're not aware. They're not aware of that trauma that we're talking about right now and how it affects us mentally like that. You know what I'm saying? And we do need to do more of the work to take it in our own hands, just like, GANGSTA.
Look at what's happening. Look at what's happening to the baby. Like the baby said something that people feel is ignorant. I think he said something that was exclusionary. Right? I think he made a statement that people didn't like, right? Where as far as the HIV and AIDS comment go, right? I think that's something people didn't like, but I don't think it was meant to be taken literally. And then at the very end of it, he said something exclusionary to a group of people, right? Which is kind of common in entertainment. It's not always for everybody. It's not a very inclusionary thing. It's not always like that.
Well, it's common too. Again, you have these class of cultures that are all listening to this man talk. Yeah, and the thing is, I'm just keeping it a buck. In our culture, what he's saying, that is not out the ordinary. And we know how to take it in the proper context.
But it's not just culture. Like, this is normal in concerts to exclude.
Yeah, it's more normal than they act like. It's crazy. Like, the homie just said he was at a concert with the baby, and the nigga said the same shit.
But this is what blows me away, right? Is people feel like he's being punished because they were rewarding him. See, like, he has his own value. He can do everything for himself, but because they were rewarding him and giving him festival shows, making it simple, they feel like he's being punished. They're like, okay, we're going to take away what we gave you. And I think, again, back to your point of us not, being involved.
Yeah.
Being involved with each other. You feel me? When you can sit down with him and educate him and make content, you know what I mean? That's why some people don't respect Nick. I respect what Nick did. Nick forced them to have conversations. Okay, if y'all saying this, will educate me. Let's make content out of this. There's no reason to punish somebody for being ignorant if you think they're being ignorant. But when you're trying to bully somebody,
it don't correct nothing.
But when you're trying to bully somebody, those are the tactics you use. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit you down and explain to you and explain to the rest of the world why I'm gonna take you, I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna slap you, I'm gonna kick you. Like I'm gonna take you.
Black Lives Matter. Now y'all canceling the black man.
Versus literally sitting somebody down and say, you know what, it's worthy of a conversation. We can fix a lot of problems if we just sit down and talk.
People like seeing that plane crash.
Oh, you know what? Your show's in jeopardy because of the conversation. We need to sit you down on one of your shows. We need to talk about what you said so we can get information that goes against what you're saying. I mean, to keep your show going. Not, I'm gonna show you my power. I'm gonna show you I'm better than you. Yeah. They fucking gang them because that's what we do. We don't sit each other down and have conversations and say this, that, and the third. Feel me?
That can save a lot of lives.
Feel me? But then again, y'all supposed to be sophisticated to have the privilege, but you react in the same fucking way. You reacting silly like a child, and you feel like you're punishing, taking shit from people, versus sitting them down and educating them if you care about them. But this ain't about none of that, and we all know that.